6:04, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. John LeBlanc producing. We're starting you off at 74 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. On our way back up to around 90, 91. You heard that forecast from EKC right there. So we'll get you rolling. We'll get you ready for Wednesday, attacking the middle of the week. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning. Attorney Franz Borghardt's coming up for Legally Served about 20 minutes from right now. Also on the guest list this morning, we're going to talk with Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business. Heather LeBlanc talking Entergy and keeping folks cool over the summer. We got State Representative Jack McFarland in our 8 o'clock hour and a little D.C. Current with Congresswoman Julia Letlow before we get out of here. But you know how we start off the show. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Starting off with an arrest from a 3-year-old murder now. Police arrested a man for murder after he allegedly shot a man on Avenue L. Demetrius Parker, 23 years old, allegedly shot Delta Hunt on Avenue L on July 13th, 2022. Parker was booked for second-degree murder, illegal use of a weapon, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. He's the second arrest in this case. DeAndre Green was also booked back in 2023 for second-degree murder, illegal use of weapon, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
Number 4.
Raising Cane's owner and founder Todd Graves announced yesterday he'll be donating $1 million to the American Red Cross as the group continues relief efforts in Central Texas after the 4th of July weekend's devastating flooding.
Number 3.
Police arrested him. Whoop, you know what? I've got this story down twice. We're going to skip ahead to 3 Capital Region school districts saw the highest LEAP test scores in the state, according to recently released data. The top system was Ascension Parish, where 53% of students reached mastery. They were followed by West Feliciana Parish at 52%, and then Central Community Schools were at 50%.
Number 2.
Following the revelation of potential corruption by the late St. Gabriel Police Captain Devin Booty, Eberville Parish Sheriff Brett Stassi is once again calling on the Attorney General to help his department investigate. Stassi says he was first tipped off about Booty about 3 weeks before his death. That tip was about his potential drug dealing and other incidents.
Number 1.
We're looking at a clean board right now when it comes to hurricane season. Yes, we have had 3 named storms, none of which have threatened us here in Louisiana, but there have been 3 tropical systems to make their way through. As of right now, there is 0 tropical cyclone activity expected over the next 7 days. Hey, that number of missing is at 100. The number missing is at 170, not 161.
All right. Well, the death toll of the Texas flood is now up to 110. Possibly more alarming is the number of folks missing continues to rise. That is up to
170 right now. And, man, I was listening to America in the Morning a little bit, last hour. Hearing the Texas governor basically echo what Jim Ryan told us on day one.
Yes.
Was that when it comes to, you don't know how many people were just camping down there. So that number of who's missing it's going to continue to climb. In order to be a missing person, someone has to report you missing.
That's right.
And if you took the whole family down to the riverside to go camping, then who's going to report you missing? You know?
Exactly. Yeah. If you went alone or with someone else, didn't tell anyone,
right?
You just kind of, went off into the woods.
Right.
Oh man. Well, I got some good news here.
Yep.
And that could be coming to airports in America. TSA is looking to eliminating the rule that forces everyone to take their shoes off when going through screening.
I will not feel any less safe as a result of this. I love this. It's the dumbest thing ever. They've got all the scanning technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I know why we've had to take our shoes off. You had the shoe bomber. But, one guy changed that whole thing, and I don't see whether the shoes went through the scanner, on the conveyor belt, or they go in the scanner that scans you. What's the difference? They're getting scanned.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe just they're like, just keep your shoes on. They probably had some bad experiences. You know that trend that's been going around on social media where you have to take off your shoes and it's like you didn't expect it, and there's like a glove on someone's foot and stuff like that.
I have not seen that.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that's what TSA. They're like, they've seen enough. Just keep your shoes on. You're
well,
good.
it's such a pain because they've got like two. Well, depending on what airport you're at, right? Yeah. The airports weren't built to put your shoes back on. Franz, you fly a lot.
Baton Rouge Airport, by the way.
Yeah.
BTR. Ooh, that's the best one to go through.
It really is.
I mean, I would take off anything for them. I mean, they're
That's-
just so friendly. They're friendly. It's timely.
All right.
Like, but I got to tell you, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When I flew or when I fly, I was wearing slip-on shoes.
Yeah.
Like, that don't require tying and untying.
Yeah.
So it was no skin off my teeth, I guess. But yeah, I ain't losing any sleep over this one.
No, it's just, and there's, I wonder if we're still going to take off our belts, though.
But that's not even consistent. Like, have you noticed that some airports you take off your belt, some you don't?
I have not noticed that.
Like,
I'm-
it's.
But I mean, the only two airports ever, well, I guess I have to fly home, but Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and then coming back from Reagan, that's my only regulars right there, as it were. So,
Yeah. In other news here, former
Yeah.
LSU and current Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is featured on season 2 of Netflix's hit docuseries Quarterback.
go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe Burrow. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
He's about to be one of three. I am so looking forward to seeing Garrett Nussmeier this season.
Yeah.
Just getting that every couple of years, churning another LSU quarterback through in their second year starting, that year 2 starting, making all the difference. Although trending news with Garrett Nussmeier is he got engaged over the weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Congrats to him. Yeah, that's awesome.
very, very much so. That's a look at what's trending. We are going to talk sports in our next segment. Before we break, though, want to remind you about the folks over at Breck. You know where to find them online. Find them at breck.org. You know where to find them in real life, just about everywhere in Baton Rouge. They got a lot of property, y'all. A lot of Breck facilities out there. Maybe too many Breck facilities. I don't know if you can have too many, but they have to be everything to everybody. That's why you're going to find Breck facilities everywhere. If you hop on breck.org, pull up your interests, or run the little tab over your interests, whatever it is you're into, sports, science, nature, arts, culture, adult leisure, adapted recreation. They've got you covered on all fronts. Aquatics, Liberty Lagoon opened up, what was it, last week? And just, Breck's got you covered on all fronts, whatever it is you are into. And to go along with all the facilities, they got a full calendar as well.
Pickleball?
They got a lot of pickle. Oh, a lot
But I
of
mean,
pickleball.
pickleball is pretty much, you can play pickleball anywhere you have a normal tennis court, right?
Yeah, but I think they have to repaint it because they got the kitchen in the front or whatever. I'm learning. I'm learning about the pickleball.
It's
Reluctantly.
It's something.
It is some. You know what pickleball sounds like from a distance, Franz?
What's that?
The last 10 seconds of microwave popcorn popping. And you can experience that when start with breck.org. Stapler, please.
Is this swing line? Said I could keep the stapler.
Boston didn't bind up as much. Oh.
Did we talk Diddy last week?
You made the prediction of what was going to be right and what was.
Can we just spend a 30 seconds talking about how awesome it was?
No, I promoted it that way.
Yeah.
I said Franz will be in to take a victory lap on making the call with Diddy. Are you good till 50 or are you good till the top?
50. Who's Rotary today? Don't we have a coach or something?
No. Coach Kelly's on the 23rd.
What's today?
Brother Sanchez is today. Dr. Steven Sanchez.
I know. Yeah, I know Steven. Yeah. What's he talking about?
I think.
Medicine?
Yeah.
Doctoring?
Vaccinations, maybe.
What's that? Every Fish Matters banquet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to do an Every Chicken Wing Matters. Oh, wait, I've done that event.
You need to do it again. You bring back Go Rouge.
Just trying to make it, man. Just trying to make it. So have I been back on since Tampa? Since I went to Tampa?
You were on last week.
Okay. And the reason I bring up Tampa is Cuban sandwiches. I'm on a Cuban sandwich kick. You can get one at CP. You can get one. There's a food truck.
CP?
City Port. There's a food truck. I don't know if Rocco makes one or not. He could. I bet you he could. I bet it'd be good.
It would probably be very good.
Yeah.
Maxwell's Market.
Okay.
Maxwell's Market has good Cuban.
Okay.
I find 6:15 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt, less than 10 minutes away. Let's dive into sports. Actually, before we do that, let me remind you, enjoy a VIP experience with the Talk 107.3 team and the Baton Rouge Rougarou when they welcome in the Acadiana Cane Cutters on Friday, July 11th. Food from Raisin Canes and beverages will be provided. Register today under the contest page at talk1073.com. I'll be out there on Friday night for sure. Hopefully you will as well. And I believe we're going to have Ronnie Rance, owner of the Rougarou, on Friday morning, kind of preview the game, take a look at the team. The team's on fire. The team's amazing this year. They dominated the first half of the Texas Collegiate Wooden Bat League for the first half. Now in the back half, there's no signs of them slowing down. So we'll see you Friday out at the Rougarou at Pete Goolsby Field. Right now, talking a little bit of football recruiting. Haynesville safety and quarterback Isaiah Washington announced his commitment to LSU back on July 4th. He's a three-star prospect, chose the Tigers over Arkansas, Tulane, and Louisiana Tech. Haynesville football coach David Franklin told our news partners over the Louisiana Radio Network, Washington will be an elite athlete in the LSU secondary.
He's a really good quarterback, but he's a true safety. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be, in the future, he's going to be 190, 200 pounds because he just has a wide frame, a big frame. He's long and has a lot of room to grow.
All right. I mean, let's get a safety that can hit. Get him up over 200 if you can. Washington is the number 23 prospect in Louisiana, third-ranked safety in the state as well. Franklin said the Golden Hurricane had an opening at quarterback Washington's freshman year. That's how he got on the offensive side of the ball.
I remember my son in particular coming to me and say, "Dad, you need to let him start." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he's a leader." And I said, "He's a freshman." He said, "He's a leader." And I said, "Okay, I agree with you. I just wanted to hear it from somebody else." But he is. He's always been the kind of player. And he was a leader then, and he's even more of a leader now.
So you add Washington to that 2026 recruiting class, which is currently ranked 8th in the nation. And that flexes a lot because new names are coming in for all the schools every day, right? Or not every day, but every day somebody gets added somewhere. So LSU they were 7th, they were 5th, they're back down to 8th right now. They're just going to remain in the top 10 until we get closer and closer to signing day. 8th in the nation for the whole recruiting class. They got 2 5-stars and 9 4-star commits. Franklin says he's had a lot of great athletes come through his program, but they're not all built the same.
You got really athletic kids, and then you got really athletic kids that are 6'2". And so now you kind of have something a little bit different, God makes people different, and some people are just blessed in different ways than others. And he's one he just kind of has all the tools.
It's almost here, y'all. I mean, it gets very, very close, very, very fast. Next week, John, we're going to have the building basically to ourselves next week because all the guys from 104.5 will be in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. And LSU starts SEC Media Days. LSU will be the first ones out the blocks on Monday. In fact, it was announced yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. It was announced that which players are going from which schools. I'm not going to run you down the whole list, but I am going to tell you that joining Brian Kelly at SEC Media Days next week will be Garrett Nussmeier, wide receiver Chris Hilton Jr., and linebacker Whit Weeks. So those are your 3 LSU players that are going. Also being featured on Monday will be South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Tuesday's slate is Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. Wednesday starts off with Alabama, followed by Mississippi State, Florida, and Oklahoma. And then on Thursday, you've got Arkansas and Kentucky, Missouri, and Texas A&M is going to round it out. So it's going to be a jam-packed 4 days, just chock full of content. So we'll be dialed in with our sister station, 104.5, 104.9 ESPN Radio all week long. It's 6:20. Here's the Fox Business Report.
So I'm a DC Comics fan. Well, I'm a comic book fan. And so I think Superman came out. James Gunn's Superman came out yesterday or today. One of the two. Like, it's out now. And I got to tell you, has there ever been a James Gunn movie that you didn't like?
No, I think he's gonna take it in a really great direction. Yeah. Personally, what he's done with even Guardians of the Galaxy and anything he touches, like I'm a fan of.
Is he the guy from Queer Eye from the Straight Guy?
No, that's another Gunn. I think you're thinking about another Gunn. James Gunn is a director, writer. His brother is an actor.
Yeah, his brother Sean Gunn.
Yeah, all the movies.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Tim Gunn? Tim Gunn, I think, is a fashion dude. That's to anyone who's a fashion dude or duet. Yes, Tim Gunn.
I'm definitely not thinking of Peter Gunn.
Tim Gunn is Americans, the designer show.
Okay.
And I don't know about his sexual orientation, so I don't know if he's in fact. I don't know if he has a queer eye for the straight guy.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I'm interested to see how he's going to take it. It's gonna be good.
Well, I think I'm going to take my son. He's at stay away camp right now, and I got to tell you, with all the flooding in Texas, there was a small part of, even though he's not staying away in Texas, there was a small part of me. It was like,
Dropped Abby off in Texas on Sunday.
Oh, where was she? You don't have to tell me specific.
Just the Pines.
Okay,
It's nowhere near.
but still, you had that moment.
No, not really. It's I mean, of course you look around at the terrain while you're there and whatnot, but it's not about the terrain, it's about what's underneath the terrain. Like, a big part of hill country being flash floody is it's built off top of limestone. So there's nothing the water can sink into. There's nothing the water can absorb into. So it stays it's like
So fish is
it's like pissing on concrete.
Fish is in northern Mississippi, about 3 hours away.
Okay.
So man, I wish I could do stay away camp. That'd be nice. Oh wait, that's a pilgrimage. That's just good pilgrimage. Are we talking about the Chief story by Nakamoto, or you don't want to go there?
I haven't seen that story.
That was the one I sent you where.
Oh, you sent me one last night.
I'm sorry.
No. I had my phone on silent last night.
I really do want to get a Franz 316 shirt. Like Austin 316.
All right, heading back to the traffic center real quick. We're looking good on I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish. We're looking really good on I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. Once you get into town on 12 westbound, you are going to find a little bit of volume just past Essen Lane, in between Essen and the 10-12 merge, right around Baton Rouge Country Club. It's going to it's not, you'll barely slow down, but you will find a little bit of volume, and that's the only blip on the radar on our on our interstates. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish also looks great as well. And 110 is smooth sailing. Now, getting off the interstates and looking at the surface streets, let me touch in on this. Let's go back to Denham Springs real quick, if I can scroll back over. Dadgummit. Here we go. All right, Florida Boulevard out in Denham Springs, or Florida Avenue out in Denham Springs. Looks like there are delays, and I'm not sure if it's an accident or not, but just west of Range Avenue, if you're on Florida, I guess heading eastbound towards Range Avenue, you're going to find some slowdowns out that way out in Denham Springs, and that's really the only thing that I'm seeing at all on your surface streets as well. There's no accidents report. That's your look at traffic. That's your look at traffic on Talk 107.3 FM. I know. I mean, they've been the sponsor of the traffic center since we started. $6:25, $6:26. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It is time for Legally Served. We got attorney Franz Borghardt in the house. Let's go. What you say, Franz? How's things going this morning?
Sometimes it's hard to just be right. It's hard.
We going back to last week.
We're going back to Diddy.
You know what? Yes, let's go back to Diddy
That's
because
a
you nailed
quick conversation.
You nailed it.
For 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
for 6 months or longer, I've been saying on this show and other shows, and to your credit, we've talked about racketeering before and how complicated it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been saying, yeah, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And man, a New York federal jury said, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Now, they convicted Diddy of basically 2 counts of taking prostitutes across state lines.
Yeah.
I mean, he done that.
Okay.
He done that. Not guilty of racketeering. Not guilty of, I guess, what were the other 2 charges? Basically a prostitution charge.
One of the ones he was not guilty of was almost the exact same as taking a prostitute across state
Right,
lines. It was,
right. I was a little confused about that, but
Yeah.
but you know, hey, so convicted only of the cross state lines, 2 counts. Each one carries under federal law 0 to 10 years. He made a move to be released pending sentencing. The judge denied it.
Yeah.
He has a sentencing date in October. Diddy could be coming home. Like,
So,
do you want to know his sentencing guideline range?
sure.
So running the numbers loosely, and nobody can make a guarantee on this. Odds are whatever he gets is going to be run concurrent.
Mm-hmm.
So if he gets whatever on 1 count, he'll get the same on the 2nd count, and they'll be run together. He's looking at about 2.5 to 5-ish years. And he's been in for about a year.
Yeah.
So in federal system, you do about 85%. So he'll get whatever he gets, he does about 85% of that. And then in the last year of his sentence, generally they transition into like a halfway house. Diddy in a halfway house. That's like an MTV show right there.
It really is.
So, yeah. I guess if you're going to go for the king, I mean, now, it could be said they got a conviction. They got 2 convictions.
Yeah, but not on the big stuff. And
No.
I think that what your opinion, just your as an attorney, if the judge says no, you can't go home while you await sentencing, is that really the judge saying, I really feel like the prosecution dropped the ball here?
No, I think in the federal system, it may mean, hey, he's looking at time. He's been in. I mean, he could have done him a favor. I mean, if he gives
Because
him
it still counts. Yeah.
because I mean, he's still getting credit for every day. Now, look, I would anticipate somewhere in the middle. I don't think he gets maxed out at like 4.5, 5 years. I think his guidelines. I think he gets like 3.
Okay.
He's gonna be look. Dude's 55 years old.
Yeah.
He's coming home at some point.
Yeah.
Bad boy for life, baby.
He yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he's home before the end of
He'll
this
be
year.
making music, doing what
I guess.
see. I'm making a second prediction that everybody's going to disagree with me.
What?
Unlike Kevin Spacey, I think Diddy becomes a comeback kid at some point.
Really?
Maybe he finds God. Maybe he goes through a little. He's been through the journey. He does a little jail time. Like his creepiness and domestic violence, horrid. They did prove that he was, in fact, a really horrible human being in the
Right.
trial. But he wasn't on trial for that.
Okay.
But I think comeback kid. I think it's coming.
All right. We got to take a break. News, traffic, weather. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt is going to continue on the back end of this. Let's talk about public defenders. That's coming up next.
Well, with Kanye coming to his defense, though, you might be right. They might cut an album together.
I think somebody will either bring him back. I mean, he won't be like DJ Khaled. Like, it won't be like another one. I didn't even do that justice. I can't do it. But
that's all right.
but it's. I think he will come back in some way, and he still has money. He's got to survive the civil gauntlet, but he still's got tons of money. Does Diddy become like a Wesley Snipes, where he just or Nicolas Cage, where he just starts doing stuff to make some money? I mean, I don't know.
Wesley Snipes didn't hurt anybody.
No. This is true.
Wesley Snipes was tax evasion.
Yeah, Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage
Cage-
just makes movies.
Right.
And they've actually gotten his movie selectivity has actually gotten a little better. Did you see the movie where Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage? And he's hanging out with somebody that wanted to hang out with Nicolas Cage, and it's like a what's the name of that actor? He's the Mandalorian. He's in the Last of Us. I can't think of the guy's name.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's been making some point is
blank now. He's playing Mr. Fantastic.
yeah, he's playing Mr. Point is Nicolas Cage makes some movies. There is some music that Diddy made, whether we admit it or not.
No, 90% of what Diddy
Pedro
did was
Pascal.
other. Yeah. There you go. 90% of what Diddy did was other people's stuff. Jermaine Dupri, Biggie, like everything Diddy did was
sometimes
somebody
the
else.
director is more important than the musicians.
This is like a Suge Knight level of like, I don't know. See,
He's gonna do less time than Suge.
He beat the crap out of his girlfriend. Like, you don't do that.
Okay. I'm gonna be extremely cautious about how I say this. Did he beat the crap out of her, or was he domestically violent? He was definitely domestically violent, and it was captured on video. But did he beat the crap out of her?
Like the Canadian on the golf course yesterday.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm
not saying he wasn't violent.
Did y'all see that video? Boy, that should be a trending story. Some drunk asshat on a golf course is like taking way too long, and this second group of guys is coming through, and they're like, "Let us play through or get off the course. You're drunk. You're eating up way too much time. Blah blah blah." And they want to fight this guy. Turns out the guy is a former NHL player who was an enforcer on his team, so he's been paid to fight on skates his whole life.
Probably has some pent up stuff going on. Probably got a little.
It's rabunculars. It's so good. I'll show you the shortened version.
Maybe Diddy opens up his own baby oil brand.
I love cursing Canadians because they all sound like Jordan Peterson. You're not tough. I promise you that.
except he is.
That dude looks angry.
Well, no, it's the NHL guy saying you're not tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true.
I like thuggy golfers.
By the way, that guy that you're seeing right there, that's the guy that's about to get his ass whipped. I'm going to throw you in the lake, and he does.
I respect a man that lives up to his promises.
Calls the shot.
He follows through with it. Follows through.
Takes the glasses off. Takes the glove off. Takes the golf glove off.
The guy was warned.
It's kind of hard to take that guy intimidating with that shirt on. Yep. Ends up in the lake.
Throws him in the lake.
Oh, wait. He's coming out of the lake. Oh.
What?
Ooh. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Get up again. Go at him again. Throw his ass.
Oh.
There you go. How about that? And his drunk buddy's like, why don't you leave him alone? He keeps coming at him.
To that guy's credit, he's taking a beat and getting up for more.
Why does that give him credit?
I don't know.
He's been in that situation before.
They're Canadians. This guy's the aggressor.
With the
The purple guy?
yeah.
Sonny says, I like that when he's hitting him. He's saying boom, boom, boom.
Yes. That's the best part of it. Bang! 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 He's actually saying bang.
When I
like
was
he's
a
his
child,
own Batman.
yeah. When I
cartoon.
was a child, I wanted to be Batman. So
This man's been waiting for this opportunity his whole life.
And by the way, Sonny, I'm showing Franz the version you sent me because it's shorter.
oh man,
And I don't do the fight videos. I don't do all the world star stuff. I don't know
No.
why I like this one. You know why? Because the guy who's an asshat gets what's coming to him. That's what I like about it. And yeah, the fact that they all sound like Jordan Peterson cracks me up. Yeah. 637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got Franz Borghardt in for Legally Served. Let's go ahead and pivot and talk about public defenders, Franz. What's going on lately?
got some airing of dirty laundry going on right now, man.
So the story from what's the story you sent? Oh, you sent me
Nola
the
had one.
I sent you the one from Nola. You sent me the one from the Illuminator. Last year, the attorneys who run the local public defender's offices noticed an unexpected clause in their annual state work contracts. It dictated the state public defender would have, quote, sole authority to increase their compensation at any time for any reason. The provision ran contrary to a law that the Louisiana legislature approved a few months earlier, requiring the state public defender to set pay rates for lead local public defenders, quote, according to a compensation plan established by the board that oversees the public defender system. State public defender Remy Starnes, which, by the way,
Remy.
if you're casting a movie in Louisiana, you're looking for a character named Remy Starnes in a courtroom. That is a John Grisham level casting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Remy Starnes, well named, sir. State public defender Remy Starnes had asked the legislature to give him exclusive control over chief public defender pay in February of last year, but the lawmakers declined. Instead, they added the stipulation to state law that requires him to use the Public Defender Oversight Board's pay guidelines. I have no idea what I just read, Franz. Help me.
Long
decipher
story
this.
made short, this is a power struggle. Okay, so there's a public defender board, a state public defender board,
Mm-hmm.
that is appointed and I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. The new governor, Governor Landry, has attempted to make some legislation to shift some of the power. And essentially, there was an attempt to make legislation where Remy, the state public defender, Remy was basically going to make some salary decisions on these people.
Mm-hmm.
And this legislature, not some, would be the guy to make salary decisions. Now, these are all contract positions. Now, we're going to get into the weeds. Are they employees of the state? Are they just contracting with the state? And if they are contracting with the state or they are state employees, can you fire them like you fire anybody else? Or do they have special rights and privileges versus is this just contract law? You sign an agreement. Your agreement is for a certain period of time. The story gets even better because the people that were dissenting voices at the legislature, Remy may have punished by not renewing their contracts.
Okay, well let me ask you this, because if they're state employees, I thought they were funded individually. I thought they were funded locally.
Well, but the board used to be the one to decide who we hire, right? So like our state public defender generally is the one who gets the final vote on who our local public defender is. Now, there may be a local search committee made up of judges and attorneys, and that local search committee says, hey, we recommend this person.
All right, let me ask this question.
There's politics.
Well, yeah, but if their salary is derived locally from local taxes and whatnot, if your public defender's office is funded locally, why does the state get to say bupkis? Why does the state get to say anything
it's
at all?
not just
John.
It's not just local money, though.
Mm-hmm.
The local money runs the office, but state money also runs the office.
Okay. That's
so there's a
important
mixture.
Yeah, that's important. That's why I asked.
So the question becomes,
Mm-hmm.
is it just contract law where, hey, look, you've served your year. I have the right to either renew your contract or not, or am I firing you?
Are they firing them?
You can talk to a lawyer.
I am talking to a lawyer. That's why we have you
my
here.
thought is, one, listen, we are watching in real time, and a lot of people may not care about this. I care about this because this is a board I used to serve on.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, again, I'm going to have 2 I told you so moments in one episode of this show, in this segment. I was on the board. Under John Bell Edwards, Governor Edwards, they cleansed the board because they were going to fix all the problems of the board. And everything was going to get better. And we were going to all hold hands and sing in the field. Things didn't get better. Same problems.
Okay.
Not enough money.
Okay.
And now it's like the ship is going down and the rats are kind of fighting back and forth. Here's the thing. The thing is this. This is the airing of laundry. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that Righteous Gemstones song, running through the house with a pickle in your mouth. That's what when I saw this story.
What the hell?
Yeah.
We can't go down that path.
So
keep going.
there will now be a lawsuit, most likely,
Mm-hmm.
for the 4 or 5 district defenders who weren't district defenders. Those are those are the people that run the local office.
Okay.
And they're administrative, and they're also attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
So in some parishes, they may be one of the people going to court. They may just be running the offices. And by the way, that's a tough gig. It's not an easy gig.
Okay, the article that you had sent over, it looks like it's focusing a lot on blaming Remy Starnes for not doing his job in a timely fashion. Is that
he may have dragged his feet about signing those contracts?
Here's the thing, though: if the issue here is that Remy's not in charge, but the oversight board is, but then you're going to blame Remy.
Oh, there was some tomfoolery.
Okay, so you see where I'm going with this?
So the tomfoolery was, I give you a contract for renewal that has a new clause in it, and you're like, I don't like that new clause. So instead of you not signing it,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, by the way, these guys are all lawyers. Yeah. Instead of you not signing it, they just drew a little line through it, the clause they didn't like, and then they signed it.
Yeah.
Tomfoolery. Running through the house with a pickle in my mouth. So my point is, it's not, look, I got no dog in this hunt beyond it's a whole bunch of attorneys behaving badly. Like, you can't, for the viewers, if Guarantee Broadcasting offers Brian a contract,
mm-hmm.
and there's a clause in there that Brian doesn't like, he can make a counter offer, but drawing a line through
I
it.
just did. I went through this about 2 months ago
Yeah,
with my new contract.
drawing a line through it and just signing it, that doesn't constitute an agreement.
Okay, so this is how I handled it through my process, and I don't have an agent or anything like that. They gave me the contract, and I went through and highlighted the areas that I would have liked to see changed, put a little note on there, said this is the change I'd like to see, and I handed it back to them.
Counter offer.
Correct.
My cousin did. But here's the thing. Did he drag the signature? This is about political power.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have the ability to do what he's trying to do, or does he not? And essentially, he is trying to contractually obligate these defenders. He's trying to contractually obligate these defenders under a principle that the legislature didn't pass, which he can theoretically kind of do through contract law. Because a contract at the end of the day is the law between you and I.
Mm-hmm.
It's the law between the parties. So the board voted last night or night before, recently, 5-4 to not renew these people. So these people are out of jobs.
Okay.
The attorney for these individuals, Rick Schroeder, who works for one of the best law firms in the state, Jones Walker, shout out to Jones Walker.
Mm-hmm.
They send me some bones sometimes, is talking about whether or not his clients are going to sue based on their rights as quote unquote state contract individuals. So, I don't know how this plays out. I'll tell you how it plays out on a local level, not Baton Rouge, but on a local level, there's going to be some dysfunction in those offices.
So that's my follow-up question is if public defenders are being dismissed left and right, then who's left to be a public defender?
So the offices will have line defenders. That's the fancy word, right? Like line defender, assistant public defenders. They'll have those line defenders going to court every day. But who they have managing them in those 4 or 5 district offices is going to be a question mark. I think they have temporary ones right now, the way the articles have read. So, but chaos is not a good thing. And by the way, this is costing the state money.
No, yes, it absolutely is. Not to mention the fact that you need public defenders in order to make sure that you don't have a government that can just lock people up on a whim.
Right. You got to, it's a checks and balance, right?
Correct.
Right. And I know that public defense, look, I was a public defender for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the state board. Public defenders get a bad rap. The common phrase is, I want to get me a real attorney. I got a public pretender. No, actually, in point in fact, those guys and gals are doing nothing but criminal law all day long, 24/7. So, I mean, underfunded, underpaid, but those are really good attorneys. So, this is it. The state's going to have to spend money. The public defender board's going to have to spend money if there's a lawsuit. I don't know if Jones Walker's charging these defenders any money, but if there's damages, I mean,
yeah.
But here's the thing. The flip side of this is if I contract with you or Alondra or anybody, and it's a 1-year contract, your contract has a term, right?
Yes, it does.
It's not indefinite. If it's a 1-year contract, why do I have to renew you? Do I have to have cause to not renew you?
Well,
I mean, we look to the terms of the contract, right? If the contract says I can terminate you or not renew you for any reason under the sun, I don't like the way you're looking at me. That might be a reason. It's a petty reason. And by the way, this is all based on political retaliation. Let's not mince words. These defenders are not getting, I know some of these defenders. They're very, very qualified. Brett Brunson's one of them. He's a very qualified human being to be a district defender. This is retaliation. These were the individuals that spoke out at the legislature against the legislation that Remy was trying to get passed. Now, look, we are in Louisiana.
Okay.
This is a political.
All right.
Yeah, this is a political state. To the victor goes the spoils. So I get it. I understand it. I'm just saying this is retaliatory.
And this is not from this past session. It's from the session from last year, right? Just to make sure.
Well,
we're
and
staying on the same page.
sometimes revenge, as you know, is a dish best served cold.
Yeah, but a year later.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
I mean, so we look to the contract. If the contract, and I'm not talking about the scratched out contract, I'm not talking about the contract where you like that's Court TV.
Yeah,
But they need to understand I'm here right now for
Yeah.
another minute. So I'm not talking about a scratched out contract where I'm like writing in what I want to write.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the parties ultimately agree to is what is binding. So we have to look to the last contract between these individuals and the State Public Defender Board.
Okay.
And ultimately the board said, the board itself voted 5-4. We're not renewing.
Will there be more fallout for the 4 who voted?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do legally serve at this time every week. Go call Court TV back before they blow you up again. We'll see you later, brother. 650 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Quick break. We'll check your money now. We'll check traffic. We'll be back next. Drew, cousin Drew was the mayor pro tem. No. Yeah. Yeah. The article's only about Drew. The article in the Advocate's only about Drew. It does talk about what is OSS. Well. Okay, kill my mic real quick. Yeah. guess we need a topic for this segment since we don't have Franz.
What's this? What's this? Surf in the what?
Huh?
You don't see surf? Surf in that what?
I don't know. I don't know what that says. Seven, 8, and 9, please.
All right.
.655 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got ABC News coming your way in about 4.5 minutes from right now. And then in hour 2, we're going to talk business with Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business, talking small business, how the legislative session went for her and her outfit. Also next hour, looking forward to this conversation as well as there's Entergy's helping customers stay cool over the summer and cut costs by putting some select smart thermostats out there, and they're doing it for free for some select customers. We're going to talk with Entergy in our next hour about that. Right now, though, before we get you to the next story, got to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com is where you're going to find them. And what you're getting from Landmark Bank is a community bank, has been for well over 100 years. What else you're getting from Landmark Bank is all the power, the ability to do anything you would do at one of the big banks. Whether you're talking about your personal checking savings, whether you're talking about your personal investments, whether you're talking about your personal borrowing, they've got you covered there. Move that over to the business side, and they can do everything for your business as well. Business checking, business savings, business loans, they've got you covered there. The fun part is, get over to the digital services end, and they've got all that fintech that you could possibly want. And more importantly than any of that, get away from the tech and get to having a banker. Not just a bank, a banker. LandmarkBankLA.com. Find the branches there. All right. Monday at the press club, Darius Lannis was the guest. He's the new executive director of the state's Democratic Party. And among the things he had to say on Monday, and we're going to dig into this probably a little bit more tomorrow as well, but one of the things he had to say on this past Monday was Senator Bill Cassidy better be ready for a fight here, because Lannis says if Cassidy survives that Republican primary, which as it stands right now, Cassidy's got some, he's going to have his hands full next spring in the closed primary, taking on John Fleming and Blake Miguez. And I say this with all respect to John Fleming. I think Blake Miguez is going to be the fighter here that Cassidy has to really worry about. John Fleming told us point blank, I'm running for an office to run for a different office. And I don't know how well that's going to sit with a lot of voters out there. He told us point blank he was running for treasurer in order to run for Senate. Okay, well then, as a Louisianan, I'm glad to know that office you're running for doesn't really matter. And the day-to-day doesn't really matter. You have your political ambitions. That's awesome. So I'm not sure how that's going to play with voters. But getting back to Lannis, he says Cassidy makes it through those primaries, he's going to have to gear up for another fight.
I can guarantee you, Bill Cassidy will have a Democratic strong competitor or opponent on this side of the aisle is going to run against him.
We'll see. Nobody has a name yet. Nobody has a name yet on July 9th of 2025. Like I said, you got Fleming and Miguez on the right. You got 3 on the right, and they're all going to duke it out as of right now. Who's coming at you from the left? How are you rebuilding your bench if you're Darius Lannis? How do you rebuild your bench if you're the state Democratic Party? Lannis points out, and I asked Cassidy about this at one point as well. Lannis points out that Cassidy may have burned his bridges amongst the MAGA crowd because of his impeachment vote.
He thought that if he voted against him, it would help him. And then when he found out that they were going to come out against him, he tried to get back into their good graces, and it didn't work.
No, I disagree with that. Cassidy's been very consistent with saying he voted his heart. He voted with what he believed was right. So, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a huge battle, specifically for the spring. We'll see how that plays when they get to the fall next year. Hour 2's next. Give me like 15 seconds, y'all. I've got some correspondence going on that could be big. .705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour two coming your way right now. Busy hour this hour. We're talking business. Leah Long from NFIB. Independent business. Small business. Leah Long joins us at 7:15. And then we're going to talk with we are going to talk with Heather LeBlanc coming up at 7:35. It's so weird. I know a Heather LeBlanc. Like, my daughter and her daughter are, like, super tight.
Okay.
Have coached basketball with her. It's not the same Heather LeBlanc. So every time I look at the paper and I see Heather LeBlanc's name, I'm like, wait, what? No, this Heather LeBlanc's going to be hopping on to talk about Entergy Louisiana, helping out customers staying cool, cutting costs this summer, offering select smart thermostats for nothing. How's Entergy reaching out and helping out? We'll get you covered on that front at 7:35. Right now, though, top stories and trending. Let's get it.
Number 5.
St. George has a mayor pro tem. That would be one Mr. Drew Morrell. He was named as or elected as the mayor pro tem at last night's St. George Council meeting.
Number 4.
Raising Cane's owner and founder Todd Graves announced yesterday he will be donating $1 million to the American Red Cross as the group continues relief efforts in Central Texas. This, of course, following the 4th of July weekend's devastating flooding.
Number 3.
Police arrested a man for murder after he allegedly shot a man on Avenue L. This wasn't recent. This was 3 years ago. Police say Demetris Parker, Demetris. I'm pronouncing Demetris. Is it Demetris? Demetris? Not like Dimitri, but with...
I wonder if the S is silent.
I don't know. I doubt it. Anyway, Demetris Parker is 23 years old, shot Delta Hunt at Avenue L back on July 13th of 2022. Parker was booked for second-degree murder, illegal use of a weapon, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. He's the second arrest in this case. 26-year-old DeAndre Green was booked back in 2023 for the same charges.
Number 2.
3 Capital Region school districts saw the highest LEAP test scores in the state. This according to the recently released data. Top system was Ascension Parish. 53% of students reached mastery. They were followed by West Feliciana Parish at 52%, and then Central Community Schools at 50%.
Number 1.
Following the revelation of potential corruption by the late St. Gabriel Police Captain Devin Boutte, Iberville Parish Sheriff Brett Stassi is once again calling on the Attorney General to help his department investigate. Stassi says he was first tipped off about Boutte 3 weeks before his death. That tip was about his potential drug dealing and other incidents as well. This story is going to get nasty, and it's going to get juicy.
Well, unfortunately, the death toll of the Texas floods is now up to 110. Possibly more alarming as the number of folks missing continues to rise. That is up now to 170.
Yeah. And look, this is the way it's... We had Jim Ryan on the show Monday morning in the 6 o'clock hour. Jim Ryan is with ABC News. He's actually based in Texas, so he didn't have that far of a drive to get from Dallas down to the Guadalupe River, down to down to Kerr. So he was one of the first national media people on the scene. We had him on Monday morning, and that was one of the things that he said that really stuck out with me. I mean, yes, obviously the tragedy of losing children, that especially that big a number, is always going to be the most devastating part of this, right? But one of the things that Jim said was the hard part here is not knowing how many people are actually missing. So you don't become a missing person until someone reports you missing. Well, I don't like to think of it these terms, but like if you take your whole family down to the river for a camp out, right? You pitch the tent, you're a good 10 feet away from the river, right? Everything seems okay. And in the middle of the night, your whole family gets wiped out. Like, that is a tragedy on top of tragedy, absolutely. But who's reporting your family missing?
Right.
If there's nobody left in the family, who's reporting the family missing? That's the part of this equation that a couple days ago there was a brief window where they said there's still 10 people missing of the people they knew were missing. Now that number's up to 170, and who knows what it's going to get to. And oh, by the way, officials in Texas, and Brian Trasher from United Cajun Navy kind of confirmed this yesterday with us when he was on. That's available at talk1073.com, by the way, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. One of the things that Brian Trasher said was they're not expecting to find many more survivors. This is more recovery than rescue at this point. Obviously, you don't want to close the book on rescue just yet, but at this point, you know you're thinking more. This is a recovery effort. You want to get everybody accounted for. You want to make sure that everyone has closure.
Yes, indeed. And less tragic news here. Well, there's some good news. It could be coming to airports in America. TSA is looking at eliminating the rule that forces everyone to take their shoes off when going through screening.
Oh, however will we move forward?
Right.
Oh, my goodness, gravy. Are we ever really gonna be safe again? If I can go through a scanner that is X-rays everything on me, what's different about my shoes? See, the thing is, John, I never fly for like leisure travel. I only fly for business.
Right.
Which means every time I fly, I'm carrying an entire radio station with me. I've got the remote kit with me, right? And I got to pass that through the whole thing. And I feel obligated to tell TSA every time, this is a remote radio station. That's what you're looking at here. I know there's a lot of wires. I know there's a lot of like. It might look shady.
And if you've ever seen the Comrex, I mean, it's
you know what it looks like.
Definitely know
right.
It looks a little shady.
Yeah, and it's all tightly packed in there and whatnot.
Right.
So I don't think you're getting anything in. I don't think my New Balance are causing the same level of problem as traveling with a radio station.
Right. Oof.
You know what I'm not looking forward to though?
What's that?
Is all the old timers just say, back in my day we used to dress up to get on an airplane. Well, for the last 20 years, I've always had the excuse of, I'm not getting dressed up when I have to take my shoes off to get on the plane.
That's right.
I'm still not getting dressed up. I like to be comfortable.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah.
Give me sweatpants and a t-shirt and for the flight. Yeah.
Former LSU and current Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is featured on a new season of season 2 actually of Netflix's hit docuseries Quarterback.
Let's go. I'm here for that, man. More presence for Joe Burrow, the better. The more prominence for Joe Burrow and his brand, the better, because it's good for LSU. He is forever absolutely. LSU. So if Joe Burrow can be in the limelight, then who's to say a year from now it's not Jaden Daniels? And who's to say LSU doesn't have another second-year starter at quarterback coming in this year who is very, very highly touted? Although I did see where Garrett Nussmeier got engaged over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. Good on him.
Yes.
Good on him. Congratulations to him. That's not how the 2 previous Heisman seasons started, though. I need him taking reps after practice. Yeah. I need him completing passes to receivers after practice. I don't need him worrying about whether or not the dishes are in the dishwasher.
That's right.
There
you go. There you go. Oh, man.
Oh, that's good not stuff. How it's going to play out. I'm making fun. All right, 7:13 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due for a quick break. When we come back, how's the world of small business looking right now? We're going to talk legislative session. We're going to talk tariffs. We're going to talk the big, beautiful bill. How does it all fold together for the small business owner? Leah Long from NFIB joins us next.
Yeah, he'll be busy picking out colors. He'll be busy picking out colors for his wedding. Oh, and talking about the golfing brawl. The Savagate says, the Canadian accents made it sound like they were all having a good time and we're very sorry it happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
sure after the cameras went off, it's like, look,
But
I'm
it's
sorry,
F this,
all right?
F that, F this, F
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
F you, F you, F you. And it's like, at the same time, apologetic.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. With every punch that's thrown. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He said bang every time he
Bang.
punched him.
Oh, man.
Like every time he punched it, bang, bang, bang.
Galen says, anyways, I'm glad I never picked up golf, and this video adds to that certainty. It's like Happy Gilmore all over.
Bro,
again.
your boy, like thought he was living out his UFC fantasy.
Yeah.
And who stands there before you attack another man, right? Before you instigate the initial physical contact, before you do, who stands there and goes, ah, ah?
Someone who's
Like,
never been in a fight. That's who.
That's who.
That's who.
That's who. He might as well be saying, brace yourself. I'm going to come at you. Be ready to counter and throw me in the leg.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Seven 16 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, moving right along, rolling right along. We've got Leah Long with us. She's with the National Federation for Independent Business. Leah, how are you this morning?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, always glad to have you on. We don't catch up enough. We don't. We honestly don't have you on nearly enough, but we'll remedy that in the future. Okay, so you went from legislative session to all kinds of tariff talk to big beautiful bill, like all wrapped up into 1 month here. All these things have ramifications in the small business world. Is everything on its ear right now?
Yeah. So, optimism, it's kind of stayed the same. There was, a little decrease in optimism when it came to the big, beautiful bill, because we've been working on that for, a good year and a half, pushing that on the federal level. And, it all played out in our favor. It did get put in the big, beautiful bill. The 20% small business deduction was made permanent. So that's going to help, these small business owners plan for their future, because they're going to know that, okay, this is permanently reinstated and we're going to have this tax credit moving forward. So that's helped to it. Obviously we stepped out of session with some big reform measures and insurance, and so that added to it. And, the tariff issue, it's one of those things that we didn't really engage on that very much, just because our main priority was the 20% small business deduction. Our members were more affected by that immediately, so they were more concerned about that in that area of it.
How much of this, especially from a small business perspective, is how much does the serenity prayer kick in? Lord, grant me the strength to change the things I can, accept the things I can't change, and know the difference between the two. I mean, from a small business perspective, I would imagine when it comes to lobbying the state legislature, you can affect more change than you can trying to talk Donald Trump into dropping tariffs.
That is true. It's one of those things, and I think I said this on the radio yesterday. This was the first session in a long time that I think the public really got engaged. When I say public, small business owners calling their legislators. And because insurance, the last couple of years, we've kind of kept that inside the Capitol. You don't hear a lot of outside messaging, but the public got involved this year. And I think that's really what helped with some of the reform. I mean, the pressure was on these legislators that they had to do something. And, we did support several bills that we're hoping will move the needle for the small business owners. And when these high premiums come in, because they've got to eat that cost. It affects their bottom line. So something had to be done. I'm thankful we had 4 major bills. I know housing presumption, but no pay, no play, medical transparency, Emily Cheniver's the bill on that one, modified comparative, huge deal. And so, we're excited about those, and hopefully, there's no guessing time of when this is going to affect these rates. We're hoping that everything we continue to do, it chips away a little bit and helps make it a better environment for these business owners.
The insurance bills were probably the biggest ones for small business owners. I mean, especially if you've got a fleet of vehicles. But there were a few other things that made their way through the legislature that you had your eye on. What else were you looking at outside of insurance?
Yeah, so the one door policy, Rep. Kim Carver and Stephanie Barr, we are super excited for that because we do have a labor issue here, especially for small business owners. The quality and always shortage. Sometimes it's hard to fill those roles because sometimes you play in a small business, you play a lot of different roles. If you work in a restaurant, sometimes you're running the cashier, sometimes you're waiting tables. In a retail store, you kind of have to do a little bit of everything. So it's going to help streamline the process where employers are going to be able to find employees and, future employees are going to be able to find employers. So we're hoping that that's going to move the needle when it comes to labor shortage issues. And, it's one of those things that I think the legislature and the governor has been touting for a long time that they wanted to do because we got to stay, competitive with other states. I do Mississippi also, and they've done something similar to the one door policy. So I'm excited about that. And then there were a few mandates that were put on small businesses that luckily are opposed and died. And one of those was the Retail Health and Safety Act. And that was going to impose on retailers that you have to have panic buttons in stores. You have to have security guards if you have incidents, just stuff like that, it's going to cost the business owner. So there was that one. There was a minimum wage bill, which, should be dictated by the economy, not, by the state. Mm-hmm. So that's one of those things that we're glad there weren't a ton of employer mandate bills because I think the focus was on insurance.
Yeah, and with the focus on insurance and getting a number of things that a lot of folks wanted, there's different levels of optimism coming out of that, though. Leah, not asking you to put a timeline on it because you already said you don't know when or where, but are you confident that we will see an improvement in insurance rate? Now, when I say improvement, I don't necessarily mean a reduction in rates, but like the next time rates go up for everybody else, they don't go up for us. Are you confident? Do you have a level of confidence that we will see improvement on our insurance rates?
I feel like that's a double-edged sword question. I'm confident that the bills that we continue to pass is going to move forward. We can't sit around and do nothing. And I think between last year, this year, there have been some big bills that have been moved to change the legal climate. Once we change the legal climate, then obviously it's going to have, it's going to have plays that help make the insurance arena better. So yeah. I'm confident in it. I know it's not over. I think, there's no silver bullet, which I think Alan Seabaugh says that quite a bit. There's no silver bullet to changing this, but we got to keep chipping away at it to make it better. And just like other states around us, they're bringing big packages. Florida had a big insurance package, has for a while. So we've got to stay competitive in that arena, and everything we do will help lower these insurance rates.
Okay, on that front, where would you like to see them pick up next year?
For me, I would love to see some more reform done in the workers' comp arena. We had some bills this year, unfortunately, didn't move, and I think that's the next arena that needs to be played in because, unfortunately, Louisiana does have such a high premium when it comes to workers' comp. And so I know there's one issue. Michael Eccles and Alan Seabaugh both have worked hard on the medical fee schedule issue, and unfortunately, those did not move this year. And so I'm hoping next year that we can really get some traction in that. We've been trying to do it for several years, and now that we're kind of chipping away at insurance, I think that's the next thing we need to chip away at.
Because you could set the environment right for insurance to where all the insurance agents and all the lawyers all have this set of guidelines and rules they need to play by. But as long as Louisianans have a mentality that accidents, whether you're talking about, on the job, whether you're talking about on the road, accidents are a payday and not an inconvenience. As long as you have that jackpot justice mentality, until you've broken the residents of that, then it's going to constantly be an uphill battle. Another one I'd like to see revisited next year, Leah, is Representative Egan's nuclear verdicts bill, putting a cap on all the other things that get piled in, not the medical bills, not the lost employment, but all the the other stuff that gets piled on. Finding a way to put a cap on that. If you could start to retrain the mentality behind I'm getting paid over here, the slip and fall mentality, that's got to be broken as well, or else the rules are always going to be skirted.
Definitely, and especially on that area, the workers' comp arena, those things, they pay such a high premium on that, and just insurance in general. And I like to say, like, a bad lawsuit, if you have a small business that has, 5 or less employees, one bad lawsuit is going to completely take that business out. And so that kind of overturns what we want to do here in Louisiana. We want to keep jobs. We want to have businesses grow. We want small businesses continue to grow and reinvest and hopefully open another store and reinvest in their community. And when it wipes the business out, that kind of downplays everything we've been trying to do for several years here in Louisiana.
Absolutely. Let's pivot over from the legislative session to the big beautiful bill there. The small business tax cuts are a big deal. How big of a deal, and what else is in the big beautiful bill you like?
That was was our huge part of the Big Beautiful Bill. This, 20% small business deduction is huge for small business owners. And so if that was not going to be made permanent, it was going to affect basically every small business owner because they're going to be automatically 20% tax hike. And so that was our focus in the bill. There were some other small things, but our big one was just making sure that was made permanent. We worked very hard, and, the delegation in Louisiana were very supportive, and so we're thankful for that.
The no tax on tips and overtime. How's that play?
So we haven't really necessarily, engaged the members on that, but, obviously you have ones that are super supportive of that also. So that was one of those things that, individualized, where they fall on that subject.
Got just a couple minutes left with Leah Long from the National Federation for Independent Business, the voice for small business in Louisiana. Leah, how does the year pivot for you? I mean, is it now that the legislative session's over with, you get to go into hibernation, or?
I would love to say I take like a sabbatical, but, kind of move forward. We got, like, just as you said, you leave out a session, then we got Big Beautiful Bill. So it's just kind of planning for the future, planning for next year. And, for us, we're trying to get our priorities straight for next year and start working on, workers' comp and getting our messaging out about that and continuing to just engage with small business owners and see what their issues are the next Q3, Q4, so we can plan for, the legislative session and see what we need to do.
Has anything new popped up? Has anything pivoted along the way? Or, I mean, the issues that small business owners have been facing, do they remain pretty static?
It's one of those things that they change, but they do remain static. Obviously, insurance is always important. Tax reform is always important. I guess that's one thing about fiscal session this year. Even though it was fiscal, we didn't really see anything done in the tax arena. So I'm interested to see about that, how we move forward from that. We got to continue to lower personal income tax rate for these small business owners and, like other states, eliminating it. Mississippi, eventually they'll eliminate it. So it's one of those things I'm excited to see what could happen in that front, and then continuing on just what affects their small businesses moving forward.
I want to talk about working with LED real quick, if we could.
Yeah.
How do y'all pair in with that? Because LED goes out there, they go out big game hunting, right? They go out and they bring home Meta. They go out and they bring home Hyundai. How do y'all? I don't want to say piggyback, but how do y'all collaborate to make sure that the big deals have the trickle down effects that we really, really need on our main streets?
LED, it's been revamped, and Susan Bourgeois, which is a friend of mine, has done amazing work for the state of Louisiana. And it's not just, bringing in these big businesses, but also we talked a lot about this during tax session, protecting our businesses that we already have, making sure that they thrive. We obviously want to create new jobs. We want to bring new people in, but we also want to bring new small businesses in, and we want to give them the incentives to be able to, franchise their things, being able to build another store, whatever it may be. And so, it's one of the things that she has done well, and I think moving forward she continues to do well. And we work with them because we want to make sure that they are, like, we work with the Workforce Commission, LED, want to make sure that the small business owners have what they need to thrive. And so I think that's important because when you think about these big companies coming in, for instance, you may be a single contractor, small business owner, you may contract with a big company, kind of goes hand in hand. You need both. And I think that's what is going to make Louisiana continue to thrive, having that big environment, but also the huge backbone of the economy, the small businesses.
It absolutely is. And it really, when you see, like, the perfect example is ExxonMobil. There are so many small business contractors, so many mom and pop contractors in Baton Rouge that are connected, or, they feed their children off of ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, we have the mom and pop end of the big business. I love that about us, by the way.
Yeah, you need both
to
make the whole circle complete, and that it's great that we're working with LED, and we're connecting those small business owners, those people that can go work in the big companies and contract with them, but also keep their own individual business. And I think that's what makes the side of this great.
Last one before I get you out of here, and I'm asking everybody the same thing. We put this back in the legislative session. Everyone's got a different perspective on the session. Give it a letter grade.
Oh man,
right?
I would. That's tough. I would say like a B plus. Insurance was great. Some other bills were great. I would love to see workers' comp happen, but I think that's my only red check, the workers' comp arena. You can't give everyone a single A because then they won't do anything next session. You got to always give them something lower so they have something to work toward next year.
Right, and conversely, you can't give them a D or an F because we've seen what those have looked like in the past. We actually had Alan Seba on right after the session was over with, and I asked him that question. He's like, well, I've seen D and F sessions before, and this wasn't that. So
well,
B plus from the small business side. She is Leah Long from NFIB. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Bye. We got news, traffic, weather. We're going to break here in just a second. Got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European VEX. It's V as in Vinny, X as in exotics. VexEuropean.com is the website. If you drive a European vehicle like a Mercedes, a BMW, if you drive, Jaguar owners, listen up. The Jaguar dealership at Baton Rouge closed down. Where are you going for your basic maintenance? Where are you going for your upkeep? Where are you going for your repairs? Vex European is your answer. Hit up VexEuropean.com. Hit the appointments tab today and set up your appointment. Get over there. Get to know the crew at Vex European. You're going to have a master-level technician who knows your Jaguar inside and out. Check it out at VexEuropean.com. And, get to know Vinny and his team. They do fantastic work. They work on my car. They can work on yours as well at Vex European. All right. Kill my mic real quick. The texting I was doing at the top of the hour there. I can't yet. It's still off the record. It's so off. It's off the record.
Off the record.
Way off the record.
Dang.
Oh. It's going to be big, though. To see this play itself out with I hate having to sit on shit. I hate it.
Me too. It's mushy. Metaphorically.
Metaphorical.
Oh.
Do I have time to run up to my office and get my binder so I can book some future interviews?
Yeah, you got about 2 minutes.
Get Cousin Drew in here. Get Caleb Kleinpeter in here. Oh, shit. Oh, my abs! Oh, dadgummit abs! Woo!
Whoa, no? Yeah. Heck yeah. And that's only until recently, right? Oh.
About a month ago.
Yeah. So for years, you're just like,
Yeah.
it's a game changer for sure. Right?
.37 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. John, my notes are everywhere, man. I'm so scattered today.
It's all good.
I'm looking, man. There we go. All right, we're back on track. Entergy is doing something cool this summer, pun very much intended. Let's talk with them about it. Heather LeBlanc is she's with Resource Planning and Market Operations, joins us right now. Heather, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
No, glad to have you on. Glad to be talking about this. This is something that I'm not going to use the word cool again because that's a ridiculous pun, but this is something that's forward thinking of energy and definitely customer friendly, to be sure. Tell us all about it.
Sure. So our Energy Solutions program, which is our energy efficiency program that we offer to all of our customers, is offering a summer promotion right now for our residential customers. And we have 3 different smart thermostats that are available for free, including shipping and tax. So all you have to do is go to our marketplace online and select which thermostat that you would like, and we will send it to your house for free.
Okay. What is a smart thermostat? How is it different from what I currently have?
So it allows you to program it. So when you're away for the day or you're on vacation, you can set different temperatures for your home, and so you can, it cuts down on your usage because if you're not home, you can turn it up. You can do it remotely from your phone. There's different apps for these thermostats. Mm-hmm. So it helps with your usage in your home.
So, for example, if we know that there's nobody's gonna be in the house from let's say 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then you can crank the temp up a little bit and maybe at 2:30 have it start to come back down a little bit, so it's nice and cool when you walk back through the door.
That's correct.
You said there's 3 different models here, and who's eligible for this?
So any Entergy Louisiana residential customer qualifies. Mm-hmm. And like I said, just go onto our marketplace, select which thermostat you would like, and we'll send it directly to your home.
What made Entergy want to do this? Let's back the story up a little bit. Let's go origin story here. How'd this get started?
So last summer we did a promotion. They were for a penny, and so I guess we wanted to say, well, let's beat that. And so this year they're absolutely free. So it's just something that we do in the summer to kind of help our customers beat the heat and, with the temperatures rising. So we wanted to do something to help our customers reduce their energy costs.
We've got Heather LeBlanc from Entergy on with us, talking about this program they've got going on to help stay cool throughout the summertime with a number of smart thermostats being offered up for nothing. All you got to do is hop on their website, fill out the required information, and you're in it to you're entered into it. What's the turnaround time here? How quickly do people find out if they've gotten one?
If you log on, as soon as the promotion ends, while supplies last, then it'll be turned off. But until then, you can go online, enter your address or your account number, and then it'll tell you if they're available or not.
How often does Entergy do things like that? I mean, I know every summer y'all do this program, but are there other programs y'all offer that can help out along the way?
Sure. We have several different programs that we offer for residential and commercial customers. We can come to your home and do an assessment. We can add insulation in your attic. We do air condition tune-ups. We do air sealing, duct sealing. And then we have a variety of different measures for our commercial customers as well. So any Entergy Louisiana customer qualifies for the program. So you can go to our website, see the different programs that we offer, and sign up to participate.
Got just another minute or two here with Heather LeBlanc from Entergy. That's really cool stuff about the insulation. I mean, because you want to talk about a difference maker when it comes to keeping the bills paid or keeping the bills lower, making sure that cool air stays inside is kind of a game changer on that front.
Yes. We find that the biggest savings is our air conditioned tune-ups along with the duct sealing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we had a new AC unit put in our house, and my son kept saying that his room was warm. And then we went up there and looked. The program actually came to my house and did the duct sealing, and we found that the plenum was not connected to his room. So it does help for your energy costs to come and, look at your home. You might have some things that you don't even realize are going on in your attic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, it's so hot that people do not go in their attics in the summertime. And so, the program can help you find these little things that can help save on your utility bill.
No, I'm with you on that. Once you roll into June, you can forget it. If it's in the attic, it's staying there. It'll be fine. I'll get next thing in the attic is going to get the Halloween decorations.
Correct.
Yeah, not going in until then. Hey, before we get you out of here, do y'all have? And I apologize, I'm kind of hitting you with this out of left field. Do y'all have numbers on how much a smart thermostat can save the average customer?
I do not have that offhand,
Yeah.
but I can certainly get it for you.
Okay. Yeah, and no worries at all. I was in thinking about it. Is like you can really when you map out your day to maximize your efficiency. Then that's going to lead to more savings along the way. I didn't know if anybody had put pen to paper and mapped out that little math equation right there. In the meanwhile, give us the website one more time.
It's EnergySolutionsLA.com.
EnergySolutionsLA.com. She is Heather LeBlanc with Entergy. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Man, I might have to get on that. I don't know if I'm eligible. I think I am. I might hop on that one. Entergy Solutions LA. Actually, it's EnergySolutionsLA-marketplace.com to finish out the website. Get that marketplace in there. I appreciate Heather in a couple minutes this morning to talk about that. It's a smart thermostat really can be a game changer. We've got a couple minutes before we have to hit break, and I'm glad we do because I wanted to revisit something from the other day. Moon had Mike Johnson on, Speaker Mike Johnson on. That was on Monday. And we were able to unpack a couple of things that Mike Johnson said, but I want cut 2 if you could, John. Wanted to go back to this, revisiting the big, beautiful bill and the repercussions and ramifications and whatnot. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Do need to remind you about the folks over at Neurojust, neurojust.com, Neuro Just, Neuro-Just, neurojust.com is the website. Who needs Neurojust? Well, anybody who's suffering from anxiety or depression. And this is a new partnership. And, oh, by the way, the latest installment of Louisiana Business Weekly, I've got Jordan from Neurojust as my guest. Complete in-depth description of what this is. It's TMS is what it is. Transcranial magnetic stimulation. It's FDA approved. It's non-invasive. Basically what it is they use magnetic pulses to stimulate areas of the brain that are involved in mood regulation. So if you suffer from anxiety or depression and the prescriptions aren't working for you, they're losing their effect, they're becoming addictive, you don't like the side effects, whatever the case might be, you might want to check out neurojust.com, Neuro, neurojust.com, and learn a little bit more about transcranial magnetic stimulation. This is performed in clinic. There's no medications involved. It's not like a knock you out sort of thing. You're awake and alert the entire time when you go through your different sessions. And they've got a pretty decent batting average here. TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, showing response rates of 70 to 80%, remission rates of 60 to 70%. So if you suffer anxiety or depression, this very well could be your outlet. Learn more at neurojust.com. All right. House Speaker Mike Johnson, pivotal in getting the big, beautiful bill across the finish line. He joined Moon Griffon on Monday to talk about it. Of the things that he had to say, I want to let the whole thing run. I know it's a little bit longer of a soundbite, but I want to let the whole thing run just to kind of set the table for where we're headed. Go ahead.
This bill was written for lower and middle class, hardworking Americans, okay, because they're going to benefit the most from these tax cuts. You remember in 2017 when we did the Trump era tax cuts, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, The people that benefited the most were the lowest income earners. Now, that's not what the Democrats went out and lied about. They said we were giving tax cuts to billionaires. No, we were giving sorry for the motorcade here, the sirens. I'm in the car. We were giving the benefits. The lowest 20% of wage earners receive the most benefit out of that law. And now we're adding on that because we're cutting no more taxes on overtime, no more taxes on tips. We're giving more tax breaks to seniors. The people who need this the most are going to get the most benefit, and it is going to be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. The average American household is going to have $13,000 more dollars in their pocket because they're not going to have to send it to Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to feel this, and it'll be felt in time for that midterm election in 2026, and we are super excited about what's ahead of us.
Feel it in time for the midterm elections in 2026. Average American household saving $13,000. Now, I don't believe for 1 second that my house is going to save $13,000 in a year. Not for a second do I believe we're going to save $13,000 in a year. But I do believe that if I'm saving $3,000 in a year, that's going to help out a lot. If I could save $6,000 in a year, that's going to knock out an entire tuition. Incremental bites are what I'm looking for here. How can I save money in incremental bites? I used to have a coach in high school said you can't eat an elephant in one bite. Well, when looking at this big, beautiful bill, there's a lot of pieces that an elephant on there. And how can I start taking bites out of what the government takes from me, what the government takes from my salary on an annual basis when it comes to income taxes? How can I start piecemealing that back together bite by bite? I think this one's a pretty deadgum big bite. Pretty big bite. If you wanted that full interview, I believe, John, is that one up at talk1073.com?
The moon one?
Yeah.
It'll be up. Yeah.
It'll be up today?
It'll be up today.
Okay, cool. Because it was so informative from start to finish. Rolled right through. So that'll be up at talk1073.com today. Of course, all of our on-demand content is presented by Lake Urgent Care. You can download the Talk 1073 mobile app, find out what you missed each day at talk1073.com, or watch us live on Facebook or YouTube live on the Talk 1073 Baton Rouge YouTube channel. All of that is courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. Walk-in care available at Lake Urgent Care. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, during that break, checking your money now. We'll check traffic. When we come back from the break, want to dive into a story that you heard from our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network, talking about the Saints. No, I'm sorry, that's later on in the show. Let me regroup. Here comes your money now. Saints story.
Is that one at the end of the show? Is that what that is?
No, that's Royce Duplessis at the end of the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's her whole report. Never mind. 7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Got ABC News coming your way. Excuse me. And just a little bit, Hour 3 is heading up after that. Of course, Hour 3 would kick off with This Day in History, presented by Five Star Printing and Signs. Man. All right. Was teasing going into the break about a story involving New Orleans. That's actually coming up in the outside end to end next hour. Right now, though, I wanted to revisit Darius Lannis's visit to the Baton Rouge Press Club on Monday. Man, he had a lot to say. There was a lot going on throughout his 40-minute address to the Baton Rouge Press Club on Monday. Earlier in the show, and you heard this from our news partners in Louisiana Radio Network, talk about taking on Bill Cassidy next fall, and saying he will have an opponent, but can't, who? Senate's a big bite of the apple to take, for sure. And, yeah, if you're Darius Lannis, you probably want to take the biggest swing you can early on in your job. But you've basically got to rebuild a party right now. The Democratic Party in Louisiana is, you look in the state legislature. They're few and far between. I happen to live in a Democratic district, and I absolutely love my state representative, Vanessa LaFleur. She is a Democrat, but I'm a very heavily Democratic district, and, well, quite honestly, my district could go a lot further left than having Representative LaFleur. But when you look at the overall state legislature, boy, the spatterings of blue are few and far between amidst all the red. Lannis, talking to the press club, talked about rebuilding the party, and not necessarily from scratch, but man, you got a lot of work to do. He said a lot of it's not about left or right.
This is not about left and right. This is not about conservative and liberal. This is about Louisiana. And that we're not willing to put politics aside to fight for the people that we believe in. We are not suited to fit inside of these positions that we serve across our state.
Okay, but you are the Democrat Party. You are literally this is left and right. This is conservative versus liberal. You are the Democrat Party. So how do you start to make up for all the people you lost? And they have lost a lot of people.
We're going to reach the people who we've lost. We're going to talk to independents too. Because we do know that, guess what? While you may not have a party, you still have a vote. And you have the right to choose who you want to vote for. Okay. One thing not being mentioned in there is what they believe in. That's been a bigger discussion around here as well. We'll get around to that later on. But Lannis had a lot to say, specifically on the front of wanting to make this a lot more Louisiana-centric. My singular plan from day one was we have got to get Louisiana out of Washington, D.C. and focus on the points, focus on the concerns of the things that affect the people of Louisiana every single day.
There's something to that, and I think Lannis might be onto something here, because if you are a Louisiana Democrat, ask yourself this: who do you align with more overall? The National Democrat Party? Or are you a little bit more in line with the National Republican Party? Not individual issue by issue by issue. You're probably going to find a lot you disagree with Republicans. But can you truly align yourself with where the national narrative is coming out of D.C.?
We're building this back with young people. We're building this back with our normal voters. We're building this back with those who want to vote for us that are Republicans. And we're also building this back with independents alike. This is the new Louisiana Democratic Party.
How are you building with Republicans unless you're abandoning who you are as a Democrat? And how do you do that while distancing yourself from the national party, getting away from D.C.? It's like he's trying to push a narrative that says being a Democrat isn't really being a Democrat. Here comes news.
Hey, you remember that Starbucks falafel
Yeah.
story?
Yeah.
Apparently, it was opened by an Arabic. It's an Arabic restaurant that a guy's opening after a disappointing Starbucks experience. Like, I guess now.
Yeah, I
it's
saw there was an
finally
Advocate article about it.
Yeah.
'806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LeBuff producing. Starting off your third hour, it's 79 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Busy hour this hour. State Representative Jack McFarland slated to join us in our next segment. He had a busy legislative session, to be sure. Also this hour, Congresswoman Julia Letlow, little DC Current presented by LABI. We got a lot going on this hour. I'm sorry. I just get multiple things happening over here. All right, let's get right to it. This day in history. Let's go.
All right, let's see. Starting in 1776, the U.S. Declaration of Independence is read to George Washington's troops in New York.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, check this out. 1795, James Swan pays off the $2,024,899 of U.S. national debt.
Okay.
Really fascinating stuff there. 1951, U.S. President Harry Truman asked Congress to formally end state of war with Germany.
Okay.
Hey, Donkey Kong was released today in 1981. So,
Really?
that's pretty cool.
That is
yeah.
cool.
Bringing it back here to Louisiana in 1982, a Pan Am Boeing 727 crashes in a storm in Kenner.
Ooh, yeah.
Shortly after takeoff, killing 153 passengers.
Yeah. Vividly remember that.
Really? Wow. 2001, The Office premieres today.
Okay.
Yep, starring Ricky Gervais and Martin Freeman.
Wait, what?
What?
The British version.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's what. Yeah, I had to mention Ricky Gervais there. Let's see. 2017, CEO Elon Musk is the first owner of Tesla's first mass market electric car, the Model 3. Oh,
Okay.
man. Starbucks announces it will stop using plastic straws by 2020, reducing use of more than 1 billion straws a year this day in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else on this day?
Couple of things very, very quickly. This day in dadgummit. My bad. Hang tight. It
All
was
good.
this day in 1955. Rock Around the Clock became the first rock and roll single to hit number 1 on the Billboard pop charts. And then
That's fascinating.
on this day in, what was the year here? What was the year? This day in 2010, the big three inked their deals. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James all landing in Miami at the same time. Signing their deals with the Miami Heat, making the newest, quote, big three in the NBA. That was when LeBron made that promise on ESPN. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. I don't remember how many championships he actually promised. They didn't get all of them, but
No.
that was the big deal in 2010, was the decision.
That it was. On to birthdays here.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks today.
Okay.
Let's see. Brian Dennehy. Yeah. Let's see. Bon Scott, the original singer for AC/DC today as well.
All right.
Kevin O'Leary. Fred Savage today.
Okay.
Let's see. Jack White, of course, the White Stripes.
Keep it going.
Let's see. Who else we got?
All right. You got Nikola Tesla?
Oh, he must be further down the list.
Yeah, in 1856, Nikola Tesla was born on this day in 1856. Or tomorrow. It's today or tomorrow. One of those ones where I don't think they have the right records.
Okay.
How about Courtney Love?
Oh,
Born on
okay.
this day in 1964. How about U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, born on this day in 1955?
Jordan Belfort as well.
Hey, he's been on the show.
Yeah, nice.
How about I know I've got at least 2 more.
Let's see. Hey, Jim Kerr, lead singer of Simple Minds. Don't you forget
Nope,
about me.
that's not who I was talking about.
I won't forget about you today, Jim Kerr.
One more you need. At least one more that you need.
Should I be seeing it?
Yes, you should be seeing it.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Just
Orenthal James Simpson.
Orenthal James Simpson.
It is OJ's birthday today.
Wait, really?
Hall of Fame Bills running back. Heisman winning at USC running
How far
back.
is he down this list? Wow.
Nordberg from the Naked Gun. It is his
No
birthday
way.
today.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Definitely didn't have that.
Born on this day in 1947 was OJ.
Oh, wow. Dang.
Who we got on the deaths?
Rip Thorne.
Really?
Rip Thorne died today.
Thorn or Torn?
Torn.
There you go.
Torn. What up?
You said Thorn.
I moved on too quick. Sorry. I saw Rip
okay.
and then I was. This day, 2019 passed away.
All right. I got former Chief Justice Earl Warren died on this day in 1974.
All right.
and I got Ross Perot died on this day in 2019. And those
Zachary
are the only ones
Taylor.
I have.
Zachary Taylor, 12th president of the
Hey, there you
US.
go. All right.
Oh, national days, Brian.
Go for it. Go for it.
National days are just national. Don't put all your eggs in one omelet day,
That's a stupid thing to do.
isn't it?
That's a stupid thing to have a day for.
National Sugar Cookie Day.
That's a little bit better. I love a sugar cookie.
Really?
Sugar cookie's underrated.
Trying
Let me-
to see what
let
else
me-
I had over here.
See which ones I've got on the national day.
International Emergency Kit Day. Always good to keep an emergency kit near.
Yeah, it is. That's nothing wrong with that. Oh, come on, dang it.
I know, right? It's
Yeah, I got
these
nothing.
national days. Yeah, they're just some of them are fun. Some of them are just Argentina Independence Day.
I got fashion day.
Oh, let's go with that.
All right. It's 8:13 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Quick break. We got State Representative Jack McFarland next. I got to run around for a minute.
You struggling? Yeah. You. Man. Let's see. Jack McFarland. I don't see it. Let me see something here.
Representative McFarland. Hey, John's about to call you on the hotline real quick. You called him myself. So John's going to call you right back, okay? Thanks, bye. I just texted you his number.
Got it. Message send failure? What the?
Okay, here. It's
Nope.
Eight 16 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Getting you back into the legislative session with State Representative Jack McFarland coming up here in just a minute. I do need that minute to remind you about the folks over at Matherns. All right, the 4th of July savings are done, but the savings are not done, right? You've got, he's calling the hotline. You got a whole new crop of savings coming to you from Matherns this week. Bone and pork chops are $1.79 a pound. Ribeye steaks are $14.99 a pound. You get the Matherns smoked sausage. You can, it's $13.99 for the 2-pack over there with the Matherns smoked sausage. Ground chucks $4.99 a pound. Chicken fryer breast tenders $3.49 a pound. A whole new crop of deals are out there. So Matherns has got you covered starting as of this morning. Now, here's the good part. No matter which location you go to, you're earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop when you use the Matherns Rewards app. Downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or their original Baton Rouge location. They are back on Highland Road, just west of Kenilworth. It's Matherns. All right, taking us back into the legislative session that would be State Representative Jack McFarland. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing good, Brian. It's good to be home and back in my other job.
What do you do?
I'm in the logging business. We
Okay.
harvest timber and deliver it to the mills.
Okay. All right.
We
good to
keep you with paper on the toilet spool, baby.
know. And that is greatly appreciated. You know what? There's so many other jokes to be had about bringing it with you to the legislative session because y'all have to deal with. Never mind. We'll move on from that. You got a lot done this session. Of course, it was your name on HB1. Let's talk about the session that was. Let's start off with the overview, the 10,000-foot view. What were some of your takeaways this time around?
Brian, look, we once again, especially with the budget, we got Louisiana still, I believe, headed in the right direction. We controlled the growth of government again. We actually reduced the overall state general fund spending, something we haven't been able to do for almost a decade now. Mm-hmm. In light of what's coming and the uncertainties with the things that's happening in D.C. with the Medicaid, a lot of challenges we could face with our healthcare systems there. So I think that was a positive for us to be doing. We did make some steps forward even with insurance. We continue to move forward with that. We continue to pass pieces of legislation in an effort to lower not just auto, but even our home insurance. Look, lots more positives than negatives. And I tell everyone, if you go back and just look at even what the legislation I ran 8 years ago, every single piece of insurance reform that I was told would lower insurance, because Brian, I have commercial trucks, and obviously I'm paying as much or more than anyone. Every piece of legislation that I was told to run by lobby, the insurance industry, insurance defense attorneys, every one of those pieces of legislation have now been passed. And so I have to continue to believe that we're going to see a break in our insurance prices. It may be a year, maybe 2 years, but I do believe the break is coming. Look, I think that now we're completed 2 years with Jeff Landry as governor. Mm-hmm. We've had, once again, we had to clean up some of the tax reform session we had back in November. Yep. We did some cleanup there on things. And look, and that's what I tell everybody when they get to asking about the one big, beautiful bill in D.C. Obviously, when you pass legislation that's that big and it is changing the way our tax structure and many other things, the good thing is you get to come back and touch it up. So if you did make a mistake, you get a chance to correct it. So, look, I'm optimistic about where Louisiana's at and where we're going.
We got State Representative Jack McFarland with us. Representative McFarland, I asked you this on the way into the session, so I'll ask you on the way back out again. You mentioned the tax reform session last November. Y'all were a little bit hamstrung after Constitutional Amendment 2 failed at the polls in the spring, and yet somehow trimmed down the state budget a little bit along the way. As Louisianans, are we going to see more of Constitutional Amendment 2 going to have to be kind of piecemealed back together before we can start to see some significant savings and significant cuts? Because we kind of have to rewrite the way we do things.
Yeah, Brian, you're right. It does. I think that the piece of legislation we had back on the ballot, it was a lot. And as legislators, I guess you can say we're in the mix. We were dealing with it on a daily basis. But for the public, I mean, and I do believe it was too much all on one bill. And I believe that's why our chairwoman, Julie Emerson, she broke it down and simplified just even the piece for the teachers, for their permanent pay raise, and to restructure that. And I think that's a better approach for us, is that, one, we have to have good transparency with the public. We have to explain to them what we're doing and not try to put too much in one piece of legislation and then put it to the voters. But, look, that's where hindsight is 20/20, and it's a learning process. And I think that based upon what I heard from the voters in my district and throughout the state, that was their big problem. It was just too much in one bill because there was things they liked and things they didn't like. And, I have to remind myself, not everyone is serving in the legislature. And, the public said, no, we want one thing at a time. Give us one thing. Let us dissect it, and then let us disseminate it, and we can make the appropriate vote.
What's crazy to me, Jack, is the fact that, yes, that was the overwhelming sentiment. CA2 was just too big. It was too all-encompassing, and it failed at the polls because of that. Then you turn around and look at it on a federal level, and the big, beautiful bill, which is completely all-encompassing, is overwhelmingly popular. And I've got to wonder, is it because it's handled on a legislative level and not all the way down to the electoral level? Like it doesn't get down to the polls to you and me for us to vote on that? Because when you're, like you said, when you're in the state capitol and you're in the writing of it and the breaking down of it, you get to see it, item by item within the big item as well. It's just that something gets lost in translation when it goes to the electorate.
No, I agree, and I think even like the big beautiful bill on the federal level, just with our congressional delegation making that decision, and once again, it goes back to what I said. Even like our tax reform session, if there's something they got wrong, they're in a position where they can come back and fix it.
Yeah.
For us, when we're the way our Constitution is written, we don't get that opportunity. We have to come up with a solution, put it before the public, and then if they reject it, we have to come back and work on it again. And so I think that's just that's the problem for Louisiana. Is it's so hard because the way our Constitution is written, and then everybody says, "Well, yeah, but we like that because it protects us from legislation that may not be beneficial for the public." So I mean, it's a double-edged sword, and
It is.
it's got pros and cons, but I think that in the economic environment and with the social media and all the coverage that we have now, I think that the transparency that we have and that we're held to, I think that we could do it the other way and not have to struggle through this constitutional part of it anymore.
Does that mean a constitutional convention's in order?
Look, that continues to be a conversation. I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I don't think there's any momentum for one right now. So I think people are ready to just kind of wait and see, especially with the tax reform and things we did. Give it an opportunity, maybe give it a year or so to see how that disseminates out into the public and how it affects everybody's pocketbooks and what money they see staying at home and what money does not stay. So I think give it a little time, but look, I think it's inevitable. I think at some point we have to decide that we're ready to change the way our structure of our Constitution is written here in Louisiana if we're going to truly move the state forward. But we got some good things happening in education. It's been a tremendous overhaul. I think Cade Brumley has done a superior job. Louisiana's finally, look, we're not in the worst two anymore. We're not 49 and 50th. I mean, he's got us, I think we were 32nd, and I think we're even going to move up a few more spots after testing this year. I've heard some good numbers coming forth. So, look, I do think Louisiana's headed in the right direction, especially in education. Look, I think the public, with the media coverage and social media and the transparency that we have today, I think we're moving toward that constitutional convention and correcting some things that happened over 50 years ago that we could correct today.
No, I'm 100% with you, and however I can help facilitate that, I'm on the soapbox. I'm completely on the let's get a constitutional convention going, because the one we have is 50 years old, and I know my listeners have heard me say it a million times. Most of the people that wrote it have served time. So,
well, Brian, look, we are serving under term limits now.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm in my third term. I'm thankful to my constituents that have had the faith and trust in me to come here and represent them.
Mm-hmm.
But this is it. So I don't get another opportunity. And I'm not here preaching on term limits, but I'm going to tell you, that's something that those guys weren't challenged with either.
Right.
So for me, it's now or never. If we can't get it done in the next 2 years, then my opportunity to make those changes that I believe are significant and would move our state forward, I will not get that opportunity to do.
Got just a couple minutes left with State Representative Jack McFarland, and I always appreciate how generous you are with your time, sir. Want to talk about something that probably wasn't the biggest headline grabber out of the session, but I wanted to ask you about it anyway. It was HB 238. It passed. It's signed into law. Tell me what got you on the path for this. It's the bill about requirements and standards relating to a tax deduction for the adoption of children from foster care. What got you on this path? What made you want to tackle this legislation?
So, Brian, when I was a kid, my parents were foster parents. they went and became foster parents and did all those things that's required. And I've seen children that would come into our home come from devastating circumstances, and it really challenges you as an adult now, because I've seen it as a child, and some of the deplorable things that happen to children. So as an adult now and in a position to change those things, I'm going to make every effort I could. And there are so many children out there in foster homes and you have people that are prepared to adopt those foster children and give them a sustainable home that they can depend on and thrive. And so we shouldn't create burdens for those families. Instead, we should be opening doorways for them to succeed with those children. Because look, those children, regardless of how you want to look at it, there are expenses that are related to the state and individuals. Mm-hmm. And if we can improve those economic opportunities for those families willing to do that, we should. And we also have what I call they're not just foster care homes. They're like the Ouachita Baptist Children's Home. It's a large facility, has multiple cottages. Mm-hmm. So you don't just have children in one home. You have 5 or 6 kids with parents, and so those are institutions that we should be encouraging individuals that want to get a tax break, allow them to support those places. You know, we're always talking about the government not taking care of everything. Well, here's an opportunity for us to incentivize those individuals, whether it's businesses or individuals with who have thrived and are succeeding in life, and they want to give back. There's their opportunity, and we should encourage it. And it's just another tool for us to improve those outcomes for those children as well, and to give those families an opportunity to succeed.
There you go. Sorry, Representative McFarland, it hopped in. Continue.
But look, that was more of a personal. Mm-hmm. When that opportunity came for me, working with DCFS and the Department of Revenue, Judge Matlock, Rebecca Harris, all of them have been wonderful. Richard Nelson, Catherine Logan, all those guys have been phenomenal to work with, and it's challenging. You don't realize when you start trying to correct tax credits or exemptions how challenging it can be, but it is, and I'm thankful that we got a good group of people that are really concerned about those that are less fortunate. But that was more of a personal thing for me, Brian.
I'm always curious about items like that because, honestly, Representative McFarland, when you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life. And helping facilitate a good life on the back end of that is one way to do it. And I feel like this bill sort of addressed that a little bit.
It did, Brian. And like I said, once again, growing up in my home and my parents bringing in foster children, yeah. And, I realized how beneficial and how thankful I really am that I was raised by parents who cared and loved for me and encouraged me. But the number of children that don't have those opportunities. And look, if we're going to improve Louisiana, we got to create that type of environment for every child.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Hey, last one before I get you out of here, and I know we're running long, but I greatly, greatly appreciate your time. Have you begun to eye anything up for the next legislative session yet, or you sit back and kind of decompress for a while?
I have. We're already, I'll tell you, Representative Tony Bacala, our chairman, he's wonderful to work with. He's a real good friend and ally on appropriations. Mm-hmm. And we're already talking about some of the things happening with Medicaid. Senate President, the Speaker, and I are already having conversations.
Okay.
So I'm sure that this year the Speaker is going to ask me to really focus on the budget again. Mm-hmm. We have to prepare. Look, a lot of these things that happen in the Big Beautiful Bill are not going to hit Louisiana until 2028. Right. So while they may not directly affect us this next year, I want to prepare us, and I want to leave the next legislature in the best position I can and not leave them with turmoil. And I think it's just that's going to be a focus for us. I think for me this year, it is going to be a general session, not a fiscal session. So you'll see a lot of bills again. Everybody likes to bring bills. So I'm expecting to focus primarily on the budget again.
Looking forward to it. He is State Representative Jack McFarland. We always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. And my apologies for that. No idea where that came from. John was like literally just sitting there.
Jumped.
I know.
It freaked me out.
I know. All right. Well, is news queued up? Local news, traffic, weather.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and break it. News, traffic, weather. Congresswoman Julia Letlow's next. Yeah, sorry to yell like that.
No.
But you were staring at it, and I'm like, you got to hit the button and turn that physically off.
Yeah, but I was like, whoa, what? It's never done that. Like, it just fired off.
I don't know why. And it was such a random time.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so somehow.
So we didn't have news.
No, I guess
Local
that was
news.
the news. Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Like, and then yesterday, with it not playing, and now today it just misfiring. I don't know.
Get with Cade after the show about both of those things.
Yeah.
Because,
I'll be seeing
it
him
was
at
the
the
hour
producer
3
meeting.
that didn't play, but that was off a button bar.
Yeah.
Or the array or whatever they call it over here.
Yeah.
And this was something firing off on its own.
Yeah. Freaked me out. Yeah. Wow. Weird. Very strange. Look, it just faded out. What the hell was that? Studio. Hi, yes, ma'am. We'll have you on here in just a few minutes. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, let's head on back and check the weather real quick. What we got going on for today is not too different from yesterday. We got roughly a 60% chance of rain today. If you're wondering when that's going to hit, it's looking like it's going to be early afternoon hours. Anywhere from 1 to 4 p.m. Is when we're going to have some afternoon showers rolling through. Your high today only getting up to 88. Your low tonight getting down to 74. We're going to top out at 88 again tomorrow with another 50-50 chance of rain. Basically that same forecast for Friday, although it does look like Friday we scale back to we start to tip back into the 90s. Your high on Friday is 91. 92 on Saturday, low 90s heading into next week. Right now, sunny skies and 82 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Eight 8:37, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Thanks again to State Representative Jack McFarland, and I apologize again for I don't know what got into the computer and made it possessed like that. Hopefully we won't have any more of those interruptions throughout the morning. But man, I just fired off right there. Anyway, it's if you missed any of that conversation, will be available on demand at talk1073.com after the show is over with. Right now, time for Oh, DC Current's coming your way right now. Welcoming back to the show, Congresswoman Julia Letlow. Congresswoman Letlow, how are you?
I'm so good, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. There's a lot of places we could start this morning, but I would be remiss if I didn't start with the big, beautiful bill. Let's talk about it. Your takeaways now that it's in the rear view.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I am so pleased to tell you that it's finally done. I lost a little bit of sleep over it. We had some all-nighters, but Leader Scalise and Speaker Johnson did an amazing job getting it across the finish line, Brian. We've talked about it, but without it, Louisiana families would have faced a steep tax increase at the end of the year with the Trump tax cuts expiring. So this agenda is what President Trump ran on. It was a huge bill. It's a big, beautiful bill. It provides some important items for American people. I know that y'all have been talking about those this morning, but I'm just so pleased that it's in the rearview mirror. I know that Trump is absolutely ecstatic. And frankly, all Americans should be, because they are going to have more money in their pockets at the end of the day. So could not be more excited, proud that that is done, and we continue to move on.
Walk me through a little bit about, there's been, so much talk about Medicaid cuts and whatnot. How much is real? How much is just, fear tactics being, repeated through the media? What do we need to know on the Medicaid and Medicare front?
Well, thanks for asking that question, because Medicaid has definitely been the hot topic lately.
Yeah.
And just like you said, there's a lot of misconceptions. This bill does not cut Medicaid benefits for deserving Americans, but returns the program to its original purpose, Brian, for supporting the most needy. That includes the disabled, children, low-income seniors, pregnant women, and people who cannot provide for themselves. President Trump and Republicans are focused on making sure Medicaid works for people who truly need it. So, for example, requiring able-bodied Americans to work is the biggest source of savings found in this bill. It's close to $300 billion worth of savings, Brian. We don't want to force taxpayers to support illegal immigrants or able-bodied people who refuse to work. Many people also move to a different state but stay on the Medicaid rolls. That's why we need to do more eligibility checks. For example, the Louisiana auditor just found that 2 years ago, this cost the state Medicaid system over $100 million. Who knows what that total was nationwide? So I prefer to call these savings, Brian, not cuts. We're not cutting Medicaid. We're just rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think every American should get behind that. That's what Medicaid was intended for. We need to get back to what it was intended for. And also, it was never meant for people to be on it for a lifetime. We need to help people who are in need and get them back to work in their communities.
Yeah, I kept, and I know it's not the best analogy, but after Katrina, when we started looking at citizens' property insurance as the insurer of last resort, I don't think we think of Medicaid as an insurer of last resort. That last resort part needs to be spoken a lot louder.
Absolutely, absolutely. And please hear me say, I want to help those, and we should help those who are in need, but we should help them also get back to the workforce. We know that working is such a healthy practice, and so that's really what this big, beautiful bill does. So please don't believe the fear-mongering out there.
We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow with us for a couple more minutes. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Of course, LABI is your state's Chamber of Commerce. Learn more about them at labi.org. Congresswoman, now that the big, beautiful bill is in the rearview mirror, let's talk about one of your passions that I knew you'd be right back into in very short order, and that's getting into the classroom. Talking about education, you have a bill, HR 3453, Empower Charter School Educators to Lead Act. What is this?
Yeah, so I firmly believe that every child deserves access to high-quality education. As an educator myself, Brian, I've seen how education changes lives and sets our students on a path to success, and many students need specialized education, and that's why I support charter schools. I always will support charter schools. I've championed them throughout my time in Congress. They're a popular option for parents, for students and families, but often they have trouble getting off the ground due to bureaucracy and red tape. So I'm working across the aisle with my Democratic colleague, Rep. Jill Takuda, to expand charter school opportunities. It's called the Empower Charter School Educators to Lead Act, and it would make it easier for experienced educator applicants to open new charter schools through new funding flexibility. So to get in the weeds a bit, the bill authorizes states receiving grants for charter school funding to use a modest amount of that funding, up to 5%, to support their planning and application processes. I believe while there should be guidelines, Brian, the process is too burdensome for many prospective educators. So my bill would make it a bit easier and provide those resources to navigate that planning and application stage effectively. So I'm super excited about that. It made it through committee, and hoping the leader and speaker will bring it up for a vote on the floor.
Let's talk about charter schools a little bit here, because we here in Louisiana, they've got a pretty decent presence, to be sure. We've spent the last, over a decade now getting to know what the role of the charter school is, what it can be, how it can be effective, and where. Nationwide, though, is there the same sentiment elsewhere? Is there the same level of adoption of charter schools elsewhere that we've seen in Louisiana?
Yeah, and you take it state by state. It's a great experiment, right?
Right.
And so I've had some colleagues from all over the country who have done an amazing job of opening charter schools. And the great thing about charter schools is that when they are failing, when they are not performing well, we can shut them down.
Right.
That's not always the case with the public school system. So I'm encouraged by what my colleagues are doing across the country. And we can learn from other states. That's the beauty of this country.
We've kind of been, I don't want to say early adopters, but seeing it pick up in other states, I can't help but wonder if the momentum is going to be to where, is it going to be like a 50-50 between public and public charter? Are we going to see to where we have charter schools as an option everywhere that's a public school? Because honestly, Congresswoman Letlow, if you've got a top 5, top 10 school district, you're not clamoring for them right now. But every student is a little bit different along the way. So where does that lesser voice get heard? Oh, you got a great school to go to. I know, but it's not for my kid. How do you make sure that voice is heard?
Yeah, those voices need to be heard, and that's up to the states to make sure that they are. And thankfully, in Louisiana, those voices have been heard for over 30 years.
Right.
We've had that option in Louisiana. So I want school choice for every student, for every parent. If their child is stuck in a failing school, they should have the opportunity to move that child to a better performing school. And that's why I could not be prouder of what we've done in Louisiana, and I will continue to support it at the federal level.
Got just a couple minutes left with Congresswoman Julia Letlow talking about the, we covered the big, beautiful bill, which is now in the rearview mirror, and your charter school bill as well. What else are you working on right now?
Well, I had an unexpected gift given to me back, a recess week back in the district. So I've got a busy schedule in Louisiana. It is always the best time going around all 21 parishes that I represent. I won't get to all 21 this week, but I'm going to be touring a hospital in West Feliciana later today. I'll be speaking to the Rotary in Concordia tomorrow, and meeting with elected officials in Washington later in the week. But that's the best time, Brian, being with the people that I serve and making sure that I'm listening to them and taking their concerns up to Washington so I can be a better champion for them. So these are my favorite weeks, actually, to be back in the district.
Unexpected gift?
Yes. So we were supposed to be in D.C. this week, but I think they worked us so hard.
Getting home was
with
the gift.
Big, beautiful build. Getting home was the gift.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought somebody gave you a giant teddy bear or something.
Hey, I take that too.
As you tour the district, I'm sure you hear a lot of the same, I don't want to say complaints, but suggestions along the way. And I'm sure within your district specifically, there's going to be a lot of clamoring for a farm bill. Do you have an update on what's the latest on a farm bill?
Yeah, I'm hoping this summer they will start to mark that up. I get asked about it wherever I go. As you know, agriculture, #1 industry in my district. And we absolutely have to have a farm bill. Now, a lot of their concerns were covered in the One Big Beautiful Bill. But again, we have to have a solid farm bill to move forward for that industry. So I'm going to keep pushing on my colleagues on the Ag Committee, also on leadership. But again, I say it every time. We have a great chairman in G.T. Thompson. He does an exceptional job, and he's promised me that we will get it across the finish line this Congress. So I'm going to keep pushing.
All right, I got to pick your brain here a little bit. And I used to pick on Congressman Graves all the time because every time he's back in the district touring, he would hit up more restaurants than Guy Fieri. So what's your normal routine when you're back in the district? Where do you go to meet folks?
You know, I'd like to do a lot of roundtables. So I like to invite people. So we'll go to, wherever we can to meet. Usually not restaurants for some reason. I need to hit up more restaurants, but we'll usually find a meeting space and just sit around the table and they share their concerns with me. It's parish presidents, mayors. Really, we open it up and just make sure that we're hearing as many voices as we can. But once we do go to hit up those restaurants, I do like to give them a plug and take a picture and put it on social media. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, Garrett would do it all the time. Anytime he's in a district, he's in a restaurant. He was Congressman, diners, drive-ins, and dives. I swear.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't bigger than he is.
Exactly. She is Congresswoman Julia Letlow. We always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for hopping on board.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you soon.
Yep, very soon. We got that was awesome. Trying to get her lined up for next Tuesday. Not here on this show. I'm actually filling in for Moon next Tuesday. Got a couple things I want to talk to her about that's on a completely different conversation, but we'll get into that. Hopefully we can get her back on when I fill in for Moon. We got to take a quick break here. We got Your Money Now. We'll take another check of traffic. Before we get to that break, do need to remind you about my podcast, the Louisiana Business Weekly podcast. It's your source for the latest in Louisiana's business landscape. I am the host, but it's definitely not my show. It is proudly presented by the folks over at Currency Bank. In fact, Scott Godin from Currency Bank was a guest on a previous episode. The newest episode has Jordan from NeuroJust on it. We dive into trends, we dive into stories, we dive into backstories, the voices that shape business out there, how they're doing business within the state. It's all available with Louisiana Business Weekly. You can get it at talk1073.com. Oh, yeah, I'm filling in for Moon. So on Tuesday. So I'm going to want to test everything at 8 o'clock just to make sure we're good to go. The same way when Moon does the show from here. What, from the board standpoint, what am I capable of doing here? Like, can I make phone calls? If I line up interviews, can I line them up through our hotline? Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I got it. Well, the follow up there is I'm pre-recording an interview on Monday.
Okay.
And I want to know if I play it back out of Adobe or have you play it back out of Adobe for me, or do I need to email it to them to play out of their end? So
yeah, I'm gonna get with Kate after and just check.
I would be more comfortable doing it on this end.
Yeah.
You know.
That way you can.
Yeah. Because I really wanted to do 5 hours of radio. By the way, I've already put in the request to have Congresswoman Letlow on when I'm on Moon's show next week.
Yeah.
What I have not I know. Now, I mean,
That is
if
big, yeah.
I'm sure they're going to want to handle things on their own pace and whatnot, but the shit's out there. It's in polls. They're doing the polling right now.
Okay.
I've said it many, many times, quoting Godfather 3. If you are in Senator Cassidy's camp, you are saying our true enemy has yet to reveal himself.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how many times I can call John Fleming an empty suit before he gets mad at me. You know, every time Moon's here, Moon brings Fleming in here. The last 2 times, I should say.
Yeah. He's never said anything?
The fuck, he doesn't listen to me. But eventually it's going to get back around to him.
Right. I would think it would have gotten around to him then.
How about that, though, huh? That'd be some shit. If I could pull this off.
Yeah. Until Tuesday.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh. A56 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. I had to change plans on the family vacay this year. So it got pushed back a little bit. Vacation Brian's going to be a little bit different scene this year because we got Brian's big adventure coming your way. A little 3-day weekend is what we're doing. I've been looking forward to this all summer long, looking to get it up and running. But due to the constraints of the calendar year and sending a daughter off to college, that's shortened up the time frame and whatnot. We're just doing a 3-day weekend, but the fun part is it's all going to be content for the show and for social media. Right now, working title, we're probably going to change the title. Brian's Big Adventure is what we're calling it. We're only going down the road. We're taking a little RV trip. The folks at Miller's RV, John, this started when you and I were making fun of an RV trip. I don't remember what the story was, but you remember we did the whole, want to be
like
Clark
maybe one
Griswold,
day,
don't want to be Cousin Eddie. That whole conversation. Well, the folks at Miller's RV reached out and says, you know what, you need to try it, Brian. And I'm up for that.
That's awesome.
I'm up for trying new things. I'll put the fam in an RV. we'll hit the road. We'll cue up the Lindsey Buckingham and play a little Holiday Road going on. And so the folks at Miller's RV and the Louisiana Travel Association are teaming up to bring you, as we're calling it right now, Brian's Big Adventure. So more to come on that as we get closer to it. But there are so many great places to travel in Louisiana. So this was a no-brainer for the Louisiana Travel Association. And obviously, if you're Miller's RV, you're like, hey, Brian, try it on an RV. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Yeah. So I'm so looking forward to this. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Probably a lot of fails on my part. Hopefully, none of those fails end with anything too serious, right? Yeah. So, but more on that as it comes along. Right now, though, before we get out of here, we got to get the outside in. Okay, qualifying opens up today in New Orleans. That's what's going to be the outside in. Qualifying for the mayoral race for the October 11th election. Basically, that's the biggest race in the state, is the mayor's race down in New Orleans. Now, LaToya Cantrell, thank God, is term limited, cannot seek a third term. UNO pollster Ed Shervanack expects several candidates are going to sign up to qualify over the next 3 days. And as it stands right now, 4 of those candidates actually have a shot.
Arthur Hunter, Oliver Thomas, Helena Moreno, Royce Duplessis. They have the best odds, but that's not going to stop other people from running.
No, you're going to get a cavalcade of characters signing up, to be sure. Talk about Arthur Hunter right there. He's a former criminal court judge, or Orleans Parish criminal court judge. Helen Moreno is, of course, a city council member. Oliver Thomas is also on the city council. Royce Duplessis in the state legislature. Shervanack says 2 polls have been conducted in the race. Moreno is the favorite right now.
She also leads in fundraising by a significant margin, but polls are not predictive of the future. It may be more about name recognition than anything else, so we'll have to see how the polls shift, if they shift, as we move through the campaign.
We will be dialed in on this to be sure. Moreno was the first one into the race, so she got, kind of a head start. All right, we're done. Moon's next. Guys, I got to get out of here. We got to get inside the computer and figure out what the hell happened. We'll see you tomorrow.